To me, memory and storytelling has always been one.
When I was younger, I learned a lot from Machados.
It's the memories that stay with us.
To me, stories are like recipes. The better that we preserve them, the better that future generations can enjoy them.
Great, good? Yeah. All right, here we go. Let's roll sound, roll cameras, lock it up. Nice and quiet. All right, everyone settle, please. All right. We are rolling.
I think what inspired me to become a storyteller was my family.
I would argue my family thought that I was going to be a storyteller from the moment I was born.
I was the youngest in my family, so I was kind of the jester and the jokester.
I think what drew me to storytelling was something that was always rooted in friendship. I'm Tommy Espinal, and I'm a cinematographer.
Hi, I'm Kian Cloma, and I'm a producer.
I'm Alejandro Ayala, I'm the editor.
And I'm Elisa Tiaga, and I'm the director. And today we're here to share our stories in honor of Hispanic and Latino Heritage Month, in collaboration with the Ghetto Film School and Disney Entertainment Television.
And this is the Storyteller Spotlight. I come from a family who loves to talk a lot, and so I had several different family members hold me hostage in conversation. Hearing those stories being told countless times, it only made me feel like there's a lot of power to tell a story, to be able to hold someone's attention for so long, and then to finish it off where someone walks away feeling a certain type of emotion. That was power that I enjoyed.
I grew up with the movie theaters as my babysitter. My parents worked, and my sisters and I had to stay cool somewhere. There was a movie theater and a drive-in just down the street. So almost every week I was in the theater watching the latest movies, and I think being present in a dark room and being told a story really excited me and it made me feel a lot of emotions, and I liked that feeling of being compelled, and I knew that that was my responsibility, and that's what I wanted to do for other people, is to compel them with words and with visuals and sort of intersect all those elements together.
Going to parties or going to anything, going to a restaurant, I was always trying to make people laugh. And you know, my cousins are kind of shy and they don't like to interact too much, but I could be that bridge for them. I could be someone that could be the point to laugh person. And having that kind of attention showed me that storytelling brings people together.
Me and my closest friend growing up named Jeffrey were always drawing as kids. He was always much more talented than I was when it came to illustration, but he asked me one day to write a story inspired by one of his illustrations. And when it came to it, I sat down with myself and thought about it and came back to him with an outline for a story. And it was the first time that I felt connected to something beyond just myself and my family, something that I actually had created.
I grew up on Disney. I had VCRs of almost every movie they had made up until that point underneath my bed. And one of the movies that I kept going back to as a kid that had such beauty and such serenity in it was Cinderella. I love animated movies, and growing up I loved princesses, and Cinderella was one of those movies that felt just truly magical. And that was one of the first instances that I felt compelled to reach out of myself and touch fantasy and put myself in her shoes and her situation and sort of step into a world beyond the scope of what I lived in this bedroom that I shared with my twin sister, into something much more grandiose.
The Disney movie that further sparked my interest in storytelling has to be Brother Bear. You know, when I saw that movie, I didn't realize I could feel so much emotion. I was like, oh man, this is a lot right now. And I wanted to chase that feeling again. I wanted to replicate that feeling again.
I think for me, the movie that I loved growing up was always The Lion King. It was actually a movie I would watch all the time with my mom. I always had a fascination with animation and the process.
The one that comes to mind would have to be Nightmare Before Christmas. It's a musical, but it's also a tragic story about a man who's lost. And I think that those elements really shine through for me when I was young.
My journey to getting to Ghetto Film School ended up being life-changing. I found out through a mentor who was like, hey, there's this program called Ghetto Film School. I think you'd be good for it. And it seemed a little too good to be true. It was a 30-month program where at the very end of it, you could go on an international trip and make a movie. It just seemed a little fake, but I applied anyway. And it ended up being the real deal. And it was all free. I think that's what made it so captivating. And so like having the opportunity to do all these different things. I got to travel to Rome and direct a movie. You can't replace that.
My journey started with my film class I took in high school. I actually loved that class so much I took it twice. But in my senior year of high school, I was applying to all these different colleges and I was getting denied left and right. And I went in to my film class and Ghetto Film School was there giving a presentation about the opportunity, about the program, and they were really selling it as something that was top-notch, high-level, college-level courses. So I thought to myself, I'm already getting denied by colleges, why don't I do this and college at the same time? And I applied to the program and I just thankfully got in.
So when I was about 12, 13 at the time, trying to figure out this world of writing and storytelling, I didn't know where to go to for resources. I was actually kind of lost. And I remember when I was in the 8th grade applying for high school, my dad was very adamant on me trying to find something that could connect me to what my passion was at the time. And I remember scrolling through those old little high school books trying to find applications to schools. And out of nowhere, the cinema school popped up. And at the time, the cinema school was the only film school in the Bronx that offered a film education to high school students. And at the time, the Ghetto Film School was actually partnered with that high school, and it offered an 8-month program to any of their students who were looking to advance their storytelling capabilities. I had the opportunity to be a part of a class. I applied, and that brought me to what GFS is now, just the classes, the connections to not only tell stories, but to learn how to work as a professional in this industry. And it was there that I felt that I was actually living what my passion was.
I was a junior in high school and the first Black Panther movie was gonna come out. I was in my room watching the red carpet, just trying to look at the celebrities and Ryan Coogler, and I saw these kids there. And they were from the Ghetto Film School and they said, hey, we're here and we're talking to Ryan Coogler and we're getting mentorship. And I think at that moment, I was extremely jealous, but I wanted to be them. I wanted to be a filmmaker. So I applied and ultimately I got in. And funny enough, I found out that I got in when I was at Disneyland.
All right, you guys ready? Yeah. Feeling good? Feeling lively? All right, let's call action.
So when it came to the collaboration, it was an afternoon for me in New York City, and there was an opportunity to work on a Disney project that would represent Latino Heritage Month, and they were looking for 4 storytellers who were not only Hispanic or representing Latino heritage, but were also filmmakers in that field.
Throughout my time at Ghetto Film School, I think I really proved myself to be someone that could take any challenge, and I could meet the bar that they had and probably get past it. And so when this opportunity came along, Brandon, the executive director of Los Angeles, called me and said, hey, I know you're looking for work, I know you just graduated, and I think this thing could be really cool for you. Do you want to do it? And I said yes, almost immediately, because, I mean, who wouldn't?
I was answering emails and then I get a call from Brandon and he's like, hey, Kian, I have this great opportunity for you. I was wondering if you'd like to come onto this project with Disney as a producer to celebrate Hispanic Latino Heritage Month. And of course I was gonna say yes. I think that it was an incredible opportunity. And then after hearing about who was on the crew, it only made me wanna say yes even faster. Just being able to work with a bunch of people that I've worked individually with, but now on the crew, it felt like the forming of a really good team. And I was really excited for that.
Brandon at the Ghetto Film School asked me to be director, point blank. Based off of my previous experience in the program, I had proven myself to be not only a leader in the classroom, but a leader on set. So the presence that I have on set never really wavers. I also grew up in an all-girls school and with lots of women. And I'm never fazed by the idea that I'm too young or a woman or that something's lonely, because even at the Ghetto Film School, I was taught by such amazing female directors and storytellers that these things kind of feel natural to me now.
Myself, along with 3 other filmmakers, we've been selected to recall memories that were culturally significant to ourselves and our family, and how these memories play into our role on set. And I think cultivating these stories and learning about everyone's different memories, you can definitely tell how certain memories reflect their role on set. For myself, my memory was about making tamales in the kitchen with my family. And I think there's something there about the collaboration aspect that is consistent.
I chose to talk about my New Year's Eve parties that I had growing up. I think for the same reason I got into storytelling. It was a chance for me to be a jester for my family, a jokester for my family, and they were all in the same place, so they had no choice but to look at me and watch me do my thing. And so New Year's Eve became kind of the highlight of the year. And it was such a special night because, you know, you're celebrating what was a full year and you're anticipating what the next year could be. And so those memories hold true to my heart.
I grew up a really shy kid, really quiet. And I found that when I was thinking about my memories or when I think about the stories that I make, they're all really rooted in specificity and in detail. I tend to go with the serene, something really quiet and still. So in this particular project, I had to think back to a place that made me feel really present, and I could notice all these details. And beyond the city life of living in LA, we would go to a ranch, and there was quiet, and there were animals, and there was this majesty to everything that I really took notice of, but I hadn't implemented into any of my stories yet. So I really wanted to take this opportunity to not only showcase this specific part of me and of my family and of my culture, but enhance that in a way that felt natural to me and focus on the stillness of that and movement and how those things intersect with each other, and most importantly, the quietness. Preserving these stories and bringing them to life invites the opportunity for more stories to be made.
Something that I was always connected to was the images of my mother. You know, the things I'd see her do, the sacrifices she would make from afar, the little details within our home that really connected me to not just her, but the story of our household. And I always felt that if I could just photograph these moments and keep them forever, that meaning would last forever.
What excites me about producing? I grew up playing sports, and in sports you're working with a team. Sometimes you're not gonna score. Sometimes you're not gonna hit the highlight play. But if you win the game, I guess that's all that matters. And I think producing is a similar role, where you're not necessarily going to be doing all the highlight moves. You're not gonna be scoring or dunking the ball, but at the end of the day, when you finish a project, you can walk away knowing that you gave it your all and that you have something to be really proud about.
My favorite part about directing is the collaboration process. It's when we all come together and have these moments of connection. And as a director, really what I try to do is lead with an open heart and with an open mind, take feedback and become a student and become a leader at the same time.
I love to edit because it's the first thing I learned how to do. When I used my dad's camera to film YouTube videos and make YouTube skits, I didn't have anyone else to edit the videos for me, so I had to learn myself. And that's when I really learned like the magic of cuts. That's where like everything really comes together. You see these things, you write and you film, but when you edit these things together, that film becomes real and those shots become magical. And seeing that magic and knowing how to do it, that's why I love to do it.
When it comes to cinematography, I think the thing I love most is just the ability to tell stories through single images or a single frame. I think for me, cinematography is rooted in meaning and significance, not necessarily beauty.
There are Latino artists that walk amongst us every day and don't consider themselves artists. They make something, they have incredible drawings, they tell incredible stories. And I would only say that if you want to be an artist and you make art, then you are an artist. Claim that title, claim your space. You're there for a reason. You play a critical role in the preservation of your community, of your history, and of yourself. And you should cherish that and take care of that with intention and with beauty.
Be proud. You should have a lot of pride and hold a lot of value to the ability to tell the stories of not just yourself, but of your lineage, of your ancestry. There's something very important when it comes to tapping into the stories of our past. I believe that our past is our connection to not just our present moment, but what's to come next in our lives.
Your stories are more unique than you think. You know, a lot of people think that because we're Latino or because of whatever you may be, that people like you have the exact same stories, but that's not true. They're similar and relatable, but no one has lived your life. No one has seen the world through your eyes, and I think that's a really crucial and important truth to hold.
Latino stories are being told all year round. You don't need 1 month to celebrate, you don't need 1 week. These things are happening all year round. So the more specific you are with your story, the more you get into the granular details, the more people can relate to it worldwide. Because they may not have lived your exact life, but there's certain elements there that they can grab onto and they can feel like they live themselves. That is the importance of being seen, because regardless of your background or where you're from, there's the human experience that people can relate to.
Disney and the stories that they've made have shaped me my entire life. So hearing about their collaboration with the Ghetto Film School felt natural to me. It felt like as a program, they were in a position to really enhance what storytelling can be. And I was so honored and privileged that they would consider me based off of what I had previously done in my work and my passion for storytelling. I am a product of an invitation. I was invited into a realm of storytelling that was inclusive and empowering.
It's really important that I'm a part of this conversation and that I'm a part of celebrating Latino Heritage Month. Beyond this month, I think it's important to realize that Latino stories are not monolithic. They change and they look different for everyone. My dad's Latino stories and my Latino stories aren't the same thing. And I think to be able to have a chance to show my window of time is a super important thing to do. Because if you don't, that time will pass, and those memories will pass, and those stories will be forgotten. So it's important to showcase them. And to be able to do it on this platform, I mean, it's incredible.
There's something really beautiful about identity, something that I hold true to me. If you're an artist who is a Latino American or has a Latino background, I just want to say that it's important to tell your story. There's nothing more valuable than the stories that we hold true to ourselves, the stories of our lineage, the stories of our ancestors. These are the things that keep us together. I feel personally, me being not only a filmmaker, but also a Dominican filmmaker from the Bronx, was something that I always wanted to showcase and actually represent when it came to my community.
I'm actually Filipino and Mexican, so I've always had a little bit of imposter syndrome. And I think having something like this has made me feel that half or whatever my background may be, I'm still as Latino or Hispanic as the next person.
I think life is really complicated, and to know that you exist and that people like you exist, it goes a long way.
All art has the ability to impact or inspire. I really believe that we have a responsibility as artists to not only represent ourselves and our community, but to represent future generations of artists.
It's important for me to keep challenging myself. And all that I expect to do now, and I think that all artists should expect to do, is create stories that challenge not only my artistry, but invite others to do the same.
Yeah, we might be young, but we have just as much to offer as the next. We have the skills, the talent, the vision, and all we need is the platform. And this would be the platform.
The power of being seen, the power of being heard. The world is so big. It's good to know that your place in it matters and that you're here for a reason. I think that goes a long way.
I think it's really important for us as young, independent artists to not just be seen and be heard, but to continue pushing the envelope, pushing boundaries in a space that we might not always be privy to. And I think as long as we're able to stay connected to our lineage and our ancestry and hold that with a lot of pride, there's no limits to what our stories can be.
I think the power of being seen and heard means a lot to me. I think it's knowing that my stories matter, the people who are similar to me, our stories matter, and knowing that someone may view this and feel a very similar way and feel reflected on screen through what I have to say.
Being able to look back on that and even now see myself show up in front of the camera is incredibly affirming. Seeing myself physically is one thing, yes, but being able to see the specificities and stories, how our relationship to food and to different locations and to our mothers and to our families is something universal. And I take pride in that. And I want to be able to articulate that not only in a beautiful way, but in an honest way and in a way that shows true authenticity, because that's when somebody else is going to watch this and say, hey, I've been there. I'm living that right now. And if she can do it, then so can I.